So, to conversation with public. We have here Dr. Roos Beerkens. Did I pronounce it right? All right. Works as lecturer at the Department of Language, Literature and Communication at the University of Utrecht. Roos received an summa cum laude, an excellent, for her PhD research at the University of Münster in Germany. She has gained experience as a trainer in intercultural competences, and she is working on research concerning the effectiveness of intercultural competences training. So please welcome Dr. Roos.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Elena, for inviting me. I'm very excited about this. I was very impressed by the previous speakers, and also, well, this is just what an impressive piece of art. It's really amazing. Also, the pictures we just saw, I'm very impressed. Here I am as a lecturer at university, talking about a little bit about theory. That's going to be really boring compared to what you've seen before, I'm afraid. But I'm not going to talk a lot, so that's a good thing, I guess. I really want to hear your opinions. So Elena asked me to think about some things that we could use as food for discussions. And I thought about it quite a lot. I found it a bit challenging, to be honest, because as much as I'm very aware of my own intercultural competences, I don't think that that they are any near, for example, the intercultural competences that you have gained through your experience, or any of the other people that we just heard. So I found it quite hard, to be honest, to change perspective, although that's my job. And I want to talk to you about what it means to change perspectives. So I brought this picture. Some of you might know it already. There's many of these pictures. You know, people who do research in psychology use them all the time. Do you see, how many images do you see in this? Can I ask anybody? Okay, there's two. Yeah. Yeah, okay. Do you have the mic? Yeah. Wait. Can you maybe throw it to the guy? Can you explain to us what you see?
Good luck.
Very good.
Yeah, I see two pictures, a bird.
You see a bird?
A bird, and I see a lady looking to her right side.
Okay, where do you see the bird?
Well, the big white thing, it has a small head and big wings. Can't you see him? I mean...
Where's the wings?
Nay, he's stopping in the lake or something. That's what I see, I don't know. And a lady, okay, that's...
The head is over the black part, right?
Yeah.
And the
wings are
hanging down. So it's like the bird is laying on the black, like something
Okay,
like
yeah. I
Yeah,
guess
that's a bird.
now.
That's the first
Okay.
glance that I captured. I don't know why, but
I'm impressed. I didn't see it before. Okay, very good.
I'm sure there are a lot of other things that people may see. But I saw also a lady
Yeah?
with black hair
Yeah?
being covered by that bird and looking to the right side. So I don't know.
Yes. Okay, so that lady is looking like this.
I don't know if you see
Yeah,
anything
okay.
else.
Anybody sees an old lady?
Oh.
Yeah? Okay. Do you
Lady,
see
what do
it?
you see?
Yeah, I guess the old lady is the chin of the woman that's looking behind
Yeah.
is the nose of the old lady, and then
Yeah.
down is the mouth. Yes. Yeah, you see
Yeah.
her neck is the chin of the old lady.
Oh. Yeah.
See the
Yeah,
nose?
so the neck of the young lady
Yeah, the
is the
big
chin
nose,
of the
yeah.
old lady. Yeah.
That's interesting. And the mouth.
Sorry? Sorry? Exactly. Yeah. This is what this area of the young lady is the chin of the old lady. Yes. Thank you. Okay. That was just to sort of check whether you can change perspectives, and I'm impressed because I've shown this to quite a lot of people. Nobody has mentioned the bird, so yeah. I guess that confirms the thing that I said in the beginning, that maybe your ability to change perspectives is is very much developed, I guess. Yeah. Okay. What I want to talk to you about is about framing and stereotypes, because those are the things that come in when we talk about identity, and especially cultural identity. And I'm afraid, and we've heard that before as well, I'm afraid that many of you have had to deal with stereotyping and deal with it on a daily basis, which can be very, very sad, actually, and which is sad, I guess. We are doing research on framing and on stereotyping, and how it really hinders people from getting into contact with other people that might be a bit different from what they are used to. And one of the things that we have discovered is that labels, the labels that we use, are actually quite useful because they help us understand the world around us. And maybe in a few hundred years, the human mind can be programmed in a different way because of evolution, and maybe we don't need labels anymore. That's really what I'm hoping for, but I doubt it, because that's how our mind works. We need labels to be able to understand the world. Otherwise, we cannot really see, cannot really understand what our eyes see. So they're not always necessarily a bad thing. The only thing is that they can lead to a few different negative things. And one of the things is what we call essentialism. Essentialism basically means that if we, for example, use labels, that we put people inside these boxes, that belong to these labels, and that when we meet somebody that we might think belongs to one of these boxes, that we think that this person has all the characteristics that we see as people belonging to one of these labels. And that's a very dangerous thing, because that's the thing that leads to negative stereotyping. So that would mean, for example, that there are people who might think that a refugee cannot be highly educated, for example, and that if they see you and hear that you might not speak proper Dutch, for example, then people might label you in a category of refugee and have that image of you not being well educated, which of course for many, maybe most of the refugees is definitely not the case. But there are people who are always then looking for confirmations of their stereotypes, and that's a very, very dangerous thing, and that's that's what we see happening around us. One of the things that we can do about this is make people aware of it. So make people aware of the fact that using labels and having some kind of an idea of how the world works is okay, as long as you can change perspective, as long as you can understand that the labels that you might use and the things that you think are characteristics for somebody is not always the case for each individual. And also the fact that if you think that having dinner at 6 in the evening is the norm, that there might be people who have different norms about when to have dinner in the evening. This is just a very simple example, of course, but that's really how it works. I mean, we need to make people aware that there are different perspectives to all the things that we deal with on a daily basis, and also the bigger things, also about religion, also about what is religion to somebody. That differs for each and every individual, and it doesn't only differ between religions. It also differs between individuals. Being a Catholic, that can mean so many things. I mean, some people might go to church on a weekly basis. Some people might go to church only during Christmas time. Some people might never go to church. It really, really changes for each, differs for each individual. So changing perspective is important, and research has shown that direct contact with people, with individuals, has proven to help people see beyond the labels and the stereotypes. And this is evident. I mean, this doesn't really surprise anybody, I suppose. However, we can use it, for example, to start or to support a project like Incluusion. If we need to convince people, also, maybe people who have been a politician for a long time, they might need research like this to be convinced that it is important to make sure that people come into contact with each other. That having an educational system in primary schools where there are white schools and black schools is not a good idea, because that only separates people from each other. And with, you know, not bringing these people into contact means that you don't really help them to change perspective. You don't really help them to get to know people. So sharing stories is what we've heard from Naima, I think, before, is something that is very important. We need to be able to understand where people come from, and we need to look beyond the labels and the stereotypes. Good. One other thing that we do research on is cultural identity. What exactly is cultural identity? There are different opinions about this, but these are two of the things that we might ask people if we do research on cultural identity. For example, how would you describe yourselves in terms of cultural identity? And I'm not going to ask you to answer this question now, because I think that this is a question that you can't really answer in a second. You have to think about it. Who am I? What kind of cultural norms do I share with which groups? And I can tell you, those are usually more than you can think of in the first second. The second thing that we ask people is, do other people see the same cultural identities as you do? Or what do they see first? And what would you like them to see? So very often, people judge each other on the, you know, sort of the appearance. What you can see on the color of skin, maybe an accent that people have, you know, what kind of clothes that you wear. And people judge you on what they see. But there's so much more to other people. You know, there's so much more to each and every one of us. And that's something that we like to do research on. And this is something that we use for that. It's actually sort of, I call it a flower. It's a visualization of what kind of categories you could use to define your cultural identity. And I think I've used it in trainings on intercultural awareness. And I give people time to write down, you know, what categories apply to me and how do I see my own cultural identity. And most people are surprised by how diverse their own cultural identity actually is, which is weird, right? Because it's about yourself. But apparently you need that level of reflection to be able to realize how diverse you are yourself. And then, you know, the next step, of course, is now look around and look to other people. They also have this diverse flower of cultural identities. And I don't know anybody who only would mention one or two categories. You know, most people choose quite some categories, actually. Good. Okay, so this is actually what I wanted to tell you about. You know, the kind of research that we do on cultural identities and on intercultural awareness. And now I would like to hear from you what you think. So can somebody help me with setting up the Mentimeter? Yeah. Okay, so you can see the website here. It's menti.com. I hope that it works. And then you have to enter the code, which is on the top of the screen. Yeah, so the first statement is, cultural identity is a static fact. It hardly changes over time. The underlying thought is that some people might say that culture is nature, that you're born with a certain cultural identity. Some people might say culture is nurture. I think that we have a clear preference here. Most of you don't agree. Cultural identity is not a static fact. It hardly changes over time. It changes. That's what most of you think. We do have some people saying yes and some people sometimes. Anybody want to share his or her opinion on this? Do we have the mic? Yeah? Yeah? Ah. Okay. Okay, so somebody here said yes, and he meant no. Okay. Okay, good. Yeah. Anybody want to give his or her opinion on the content? Yeah. Can you share?
Thanks. Well, as a historian, I have to say no, because of course, it depends on what you mean by over time, how long, etc. But even if I look at my grandparents' generation, of course, not everything is different, but there are so many differences: how to behave, how to think about sex, etc., etc. You know that flower? I don't know exactly how my grandparents think or thought about all these things, but so many differences and in a relatively short period of time. So.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Yeah, so this is all about generations, right? Yeah, okay, good. We have somebody else who wants to give his opinion. Good catch.
Yeah, I think yes, because of the dynamism of the society. Society is dynamic and it's evolved every time. So I really don't think cultural identity is static because it changes based on the evolving nature of the society itself. People coming in and out, and there are some cultures that are deemed barbaric and have to change. So due to this kind of evolving nature of the society, the cultural identity cannot be static. It has to change over time.
Okay, very good, thank you. Yeah, very clear statement. Anybody else? Yeah, we have two people, I guess.
Yeah, hello. I'm Mubarak from Yemen. I've got a very fresh story. Yesterday, I have been with the taxi driver who is from Iraq, and he came to Netherlands before 30 years old. And he say, I have been married with the Dutch girl, but I have never felt that I am really Dutch. Because, otherwise, I have been for 30 years, but because I have been in my country because he came before when he was 25 years old, but the cultural identity never changed. I feel always like between I'm Iraq or Dutch. So he said, I have never thought or think that I am Dutch. So my answer was no, because the identity never changed, I think, while you live in one country for the first age of your life.
Okay.
That's why.
Thank you, interesting story, thanks. Sorry, you have to move on. I'm gonna give you some time to speak later. Okay, good. So the next statement I would like to have your opinion about is people find it hard to look beyond my national, ethnic, or religious background. Yes, sometimes, or no? Okay, so quite some people in the middle here, and also quite some people who say yes. People do find it hard to look beyond my national, ethnic, or religious background. Anybody who wants to share something on this? Yeah? Over here.
Gotcha.
Great.
So, hi, I'm Diana from Syria. And for me, I answered no, because I think people kind of stereotype or judging the way I look. So I always get to hear that you don't look like Syrian, and I always ask back, how does a Syrian supposed to look like? But so I answer no.
Okay, well, thank you, yeah. We have somebody over here, I think. You wanted to say something, yeah?
Where?
Over here, yeah.
Well, I think it's really, for me, one of the most difficult questions that when people ask me where you're from. It's not because I don't know where I'm from, because it's simply because I'm a mix of so many things. I'm born in Czech Republic. I'm a Yemeni from father's mother from Yemen. I get my education in Jordan, in UK, in Netherlands. I worked over the world. And everywhere I go, I find out that I'm blending something new in my character. But I'm always got stunned when people like, where are you from? Oh, you're from Yemen. Oh, okay, yeah. And then I was saying, what does that mean? It's just a piece of paper, and I was in a specific time born with a father, biologically or mother, in that country. Does that shape my character?
Yeah.
Absolutely not. I think my experience, my life, is what shapes me.
Exactly, yeah. Thank you very much for sharing your story. Yeah. I think that's sort of, well, it's a great illustration of the point that I was trying to make today. I think, and what Naeem also said before, we should look beyond borders and beyond passports. And I think that she mentioned it, you know, the question, where are you from? Maybe we shouldn't use it. What's your story? It's such a better one. Yeah. And it also shows way better interest, I guess. Okay, one more statement, and you can give your opinion on that, but then we have to move on. Okay, so this one is about the organization, either where you work or whether you're here at university, you can use the university. There is an inclusive culture in my organization. Everybody's welcome and people are not judged by their color, skin, or religious background. Okay, there should be or instead of. Sorry for the mistake. Majority of you say, yes, I am in an inclusive organization. That's super nice to see. Unfortunately, though, quite a few of you also say sometimes, and also a few say, no, I'm not. I think that there's room for improvement. I mean, that's what we're showing today. There's definitely room for improvement. And I can tell you from the side of, you know, researchers on this topic, we're doing our utmost best to, you know, get more insight into also how we can get people more aware of how important it is to change perspective and to understand people as an individual and not as a representative of a culture or a religion. Okay, that was my part. Thank you very much. Thank you for participating and have a good day.